Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful Monday so far. Yesterday, I was back in Minneapolis. We had a Minneapolis Badlanders get-together meetup at Quinny's Pub, and it was a fantastic time. CanCon was there. Josh Reed made an appearance. We had a good crowd. Got to chat with a lot of you. It's a good time. I did not golf well Saturday, though. Did not golf well at all. That was frustrating. But just checking out the chat here. We got a good group of regulars. PJ Corrigan is trolling me because he beat me in fantasy football this week. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, I'm back here. I got home yesterday at like 8:30. Been working on stuff since. Back to the grind this week. Should be a pretty busy week, I think. I've never seen John as tired as he was on DPH Saturday. I don't know if I've ever been that tired. For the last week or so, I've been dealing with some stuff, and it's just been keeping me up, like having to compile things and work on some whatever. Just been working a lot. So I've been up late, then up early, and then specifically on Saturday, I was up to like 1 o'clock. Had to get up at like 4:30 a.m. to get to the airport to fly down to Minneapolis to go to the next Can golf tournament, which they put on such a great golf event. It was so much fun. But so not only was I up early, I didn't nap or anything, and then golfed, and then after that, and plus I had a couple drinks, a couple beverages. That did not help. And then I did the show on Saturday night and was just exhausted. So John was the Walking Dead on Demolition Hour. Yeah, but I still feel like, if I remember correctly, and maybe I'm not remembering correctly because I could be delusional about what that Saturday show was. I was barely there. I feel like it was a pretty good show. What's up, Ash? What is up? I didn't have too many beverages. I just had a few. I didn't even have enough to blame my golf game on it. Let's just say that. Yeah, any show Chris is on ends up being a pretty good show, so it wasn't too big of a deal. But yeah, let's start cracking away at this stuff. I got a couple sponsors to get through, and then we'll go through the headlines, and we'll get you guys out of here and over to Y-Chromes, because I know they're live today. I think I got to get one of these ads loaded in here that I forgot to do. So hold for processing. All right, there we go. Okay, let's start off with a little bit of Badlands merch, you guys. If you haven't yet, I'd encourage you to get some merch from Badlands Media. We got all sorts of stuff. The last of the warm weather stock. And warm weather is quickly going away, especially up here in the Midwest. But that doesn't mean you can't get your warm weather gear. Dive into warm weather with Badlands themed games, sporting goods, ping pong balls, golf balls, hockey pucks, frisbees, even a Badlands pickleball set. It's one of my favorite sports. I haven't even played it in forever, but I love that sport. Sip your favorite brew, whether it's coffee, hops, or whatever quenches your thirst, all while making a statement. Think rugged tumblers, sleek coffee mugs, beer steins, whiskey glasses, and more. Car accessories from vanity plates to car magnets, and tech gear lets you rep Badlands Media everywhere you go. It's not just t-shirts and hats. The store is bursting with bold, high-quality gear to fuel your summer vibe. Check out these Badlanders rocking their gear. Join the crew. Head to badlandsmedia.tv/merch. Grab your official Badlands merch and spread the word loud and proud. Be sure to tag Badlands if you post your selfie on social media so we can say hi. See how far we can reach together. That's badlandsmedia.tv/merch. And we also got some Loaded Gun coffee, my favorite, absolute favorite coffee brand. Badlanders, you are all familiar with Loaded Gun coffee. They've been a long-time supporter of Badlands, and you may have even met them at person. They've been to a few GARTs. But did you know that they are a veteran-ran, family-owned shop in Lake Havasu, Arizona? Every bag of their whole bean coffee delivers a high-octane, patriotic punch of flavor. The long family history of commitment to freedom, every bag is a testament of pride and honor, from the skilled farmers who cultivate each blend to the roasters that handpick the finest coffee beans from around the world. Loaded Gun Coffee has mastered their unique brewing methods, resulting in the best-tasting coffee around. This coffee is smooth and delicious, the perfect way to start your mornings. Go on over to badlandsmedia.tv/loaded. Use promo code Badlands. You can get 10% off your order. Or if you're in the Lake Havasu area, stop in the newly renovated store and say hi. That is badlandsmedia.tv/loaded. promo code Badlands. Stay loaded with Loaded Gun Coffee. Did you guys do anything fun this weekend in the chat? Football started yesterday. That was, man, I didn't get to watch the entirety of the game last night, the Bills and the Ravens were playing, but the Ravens really pissed that down their leg. 12 Indie Boy Ty says, hey all, I have Ty's chat today since he's driving me to the beach. That must be JC. How's it going, JC? Good to see you. What's your weather like? It's sunny out. Probably a little cool. I haven't actually been outside yet today. I've been sitting at this computer outside of when I woke up, showered, and haven't moved from the spot since, outside of getting coffee and maybe going pee once or twice. Yeah, John, let's not talk about that. Yeah. It is fun having football season back. I know it's propaganda. It could all be fake for all I care. I don't know. And I really don't care. It's entertainment. And there are some, forms of entertainment that, as long as you recognize the psyopery behind it and the propaganda behind it, and whether or not it's rigged, totally possible, Gator Rob. As long as you recognize it, I think it's okay to do it. My kid loves football. He's in flag football. I'm going to be help coaching. It's I can't wait to get my Badlands gear. Baseball better than football in person. I don't know, maybe. Mama Cat, order my Soft Touch bundle over the weekend. Yeah, guys, if you go to softdisclosure.com, we have a bundle of stuff you can get. And those products are awesome. I was very happy to get home, get access to my my Soft Disclosure again. I heard that parts of North Dakota have already seen a few snowflakes already this year. And no, I don't mean Democrats. Weird weather, I'm telling you. There's some weird weather. We were talking about at the golf meetup. It's like we've had some pretty mild winters in Minnesota and North Dakota the last couple of years. And I didn't say this. Somebody else did. Neil did, I think, that we were due. Now, he probably jinxed us. I don't think the weather believes in karma. Like, I'm going to give you a light year this year, and then next year we're going to do it differently. I don't think it works that way. But anyway, let's plug away here. Truth Social post from Trump. Happy birthday, Mary, Queen of Peace. Love it when he does these types of posts. I did see a story. I should have pulled it up. I thought I saw something where Trump and the Trump administration were going to be addressing praying in school. I don't want to comment too much on it because I think it's a great thing. I just don't remember what the story actually said. I think I saw it yesterday. So I'll have to see if I can find that again. No update on the Doge website. Haven't had an update in almost a month. A couple updates on the presidential website. Strengthening efforts to protect U.S. nationals from wrongful detention abroad. They're modifying the scope of reciprocal tariffs and establishing procedures for implementing trade and security agreements. These are kind of boilerplate ones they do every now and then. Restoring the United States Department of War. This was the executive order he signed. There were some interesting discussions we had at the Badlanders meetup over the weekend. Let me play this video quick first, then we'll talk about it.
We have the strongest military in the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world. We have the greatest manufacturers of equipment by far.
This name change is not just about renaming. It's about restoring. At your direction, Mr. President, the War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. It's going to fight to win, not to lose. We're going to go on offense, not just on defense. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct. We're going to raise up warriors, not just defenders. So this War Department, Mr. President, just like America, is back. Thank you for your leadership and your clarity. We're going to set the tone for this country. America first, peace through strength, brought to you by the War Department.
The War Department. One of the comments that I found most interesting over the weekend when this was brought up, and shoot, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Jeff, big crypto guy. I'll have to message. I think I follow him on Twitter, but he made the comment that he didn't like the change, and the points he made about it were valid. He was like, I don't want us to be about war. We shouldn't want to like be using the military all the time, and like it should just be about defending the homeland. And in principle, I agree with what he's saying about that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sick of the forever wars. We all are. They're just used to enrich the lobbyists and the elite and the defense manufacturers and all these things. The industrial war complex, right? Totally get that. And I totally agree that our military should just be used for defense. And now sometimes when you need to use the military for defense purposes, some of that is more proactive than reactive. Sometimes you have to go out and do things with special operators. Like if you watch Saturday's show, sometimes you have to send them to North Korea or whatever and plant a listening device. Totally made up story. But there are things I can justify and understand, using the military for outside of just defense. But I personally love the name change. I think there's a lot of ways that our military has been bloated and perverted over the years. And, war is, defense is part of war, right? And they should only be used for defense to prevent war. So, I mean, it's just a name change. I'm not like against it. And I think it's hilarious that there's going to be a Secretary of War. I love that name. Like if I could pick my name, if I was given a title, I would love to be like Secretary of War. That's pretty awesome. John, check Telegram from Ash. Give me a second. Okay, let's see. Ash sent me a post, so I better read it. In America, the Department of War was established by Washington in 1789. We did not have forever wars, and we were not the world's police. It became the Department of Defense in 1949 when Truman enabled the Prussian infiltration of our nation. Hicks just mad that's over. I like that. If you're gunning for a Nobel Peace Prize, renaming the Department of Defense the Department of War is probably one of the last things you should be doing. Okay, well, I think with a last name like Hickenlooper, you probably shouldn't be publicly commenting on anything. That's a great post, Ash. I did see somebody in the chat. I think it was Heartstop. Good to see you, Heartstop. You're excited about your first GART. I do want to remind people that if you go to badlandsmedia.tv/events, our next conference has tickets available for purchase. These have already been flying off the shelf, VIP and just general admission tickets. I'd encourage you to get on them. This venue has limited space available, and I anticipate, just based on the Badlanders meetup we did down there not long ago, I anticipate this one is going to be a pretty quickly sold out event. So I'd encourage you guys to get your tickets. Also, we got some 9/11 screenings taking place here in the next couple days. Tonight in Idaho at the Old State Saloon, Jordan's going to be there hosting a little screening. Awesome. And then on September 11th, we have one in Georgia, Yucca Valley, Fort Lauderdale, and you can probably still host your own little screening if you get on that real quick. If you have a movie theater, you let us know. All sorts of Badlanders meetups coming up. But also this Thursday, we don't have the details fully fleshed out yet of how we're going to do this. But we do want to do some sort of like Badlands watch party where we watch Brad's documentary, Codex 9/11, and we'll pause it. We'll talk about things as we go. It's a long documentary. It's going to be much longer if we add commentary, especially with some of the hosts that we have and some of the, like Bernie Bright, if he's on there, it could end up being like an 8-hour stream. But I think it'd be great. I think it'd be fun. We're also going to try to get some prominent voices from the 9/11 community to join us. So that'll be this Thursday. We don't have the details yet, but I'll get that to you guys as soon as I can get it to you. As soon as we know what we're doing. Fixed Bayonet, naming it Department of Defense as a PSYOP, just like the Patriot Act. Everybody can get on board with that, right? Yeah, I'd agree with that. Totally agree with that, Fixed Bayonet. Ildani, Illinois meetup on 9/21. Details on the Badlands event page. Yep, down here at the bottom. Lakeland's coming up. Yins, Illinois, Ohio, Raleigh, Bad, Maryland. I love that. First official meetup, too. That's great. Yeah, you guys are just killing it. All sorts of just great meetup groups and meeting up all over the country. You guys are amazing. Lurking while feeding cattle. That sounds fun, Wahlberg. Brad gave you a time, Jessica. Let's not post about that time yet, because I think we may change. We may do it a little differently, because we are going to have shows already like planning to air. And so we're going to talk to those guys. I don't know if we're just going to do one stream for the whole day and then have our regular streams just going overlapping, or if we're just going to separate out. I don't know. 12 Any Boy says Ty thinks the name change is just a funding thing, potentially, or a potential way of line item the budget. That I haven't seen anybody think about that yet. That's an interesting thought, and I like it. Okay, let's get through a couple other Trump's Truth Social posts. He posted this clip of Jesse Waters, and I think it's worth playing, so I'm going to play it. It's about 2.5 minutes long, but talking about Governor Walz. And I was just there in Minnesota, so I'll have some things to say about this.
Gang of politically connected Somali fraudsters steal $250 million of your money. It was the single biggest COVID scam in American history. During the pandemic, the government was giving out money left and right. A nonprofit in Minnesota, Feeding Our Future, got $250 million to send food to needy kids. Sounds good, right? Here's the problem. Almost none of it was used for food. The Somali scammers blew our cash on real estate, cars, extravagant get trips. We have wire transfers that show thousands going to car dealerships. $160,000 went to some company in China. And $500,000 was sent to Kenya to buy an apartment. A $500,000 apartment in Kenya is probably a palace. But our tax dollars weren't just used on goodies. The politicians got a taste too. Ilhan Omar got thousands of dollars in donations from some of the scammers. These guys weren't criminal masterminds. It was sloppy. When they cooked the books, they made up names of their fake clients. They came up with these names. Are you ready? Unique Problem, Friday Donations. How'd nobody catch that? Well, early on, Walz's administration thought it looked a little suspicious, so they froze the funds. Then the Somalis sued and called Walz racist, so he kept letting them steal. They didn't bother to crack into the bank accounts or issue subpoenas. Walz just put his hands in the air and said, I'm not racist. Take whatever you want. Minnesota has a huge Somali population. You can't get called racist and expect to win another election there. Walz even gave one of the fraudsters the Minnesota Outstanding Refugee Award 3 years later.
I do got to say, when I was down there, the Somali population in Minneapolis is insane. I think every single Uber that I had was Somalian. And like their neighborhoods, we were driving through on the way from like the airport to the hotel, and the hotel to the golf place, and the hotel to the Quinny's where we had the meetup. Somalians everywhere, like every street corner, all over the place. It was, I mean, I knew it was bad. Like I knew there were a lot, but it was way, way worse than I had expected. In the airport too, a lot of them at the airport. There's everywhere.
She was indicted. No thanks to Walz, the feds came in after her, ignored the problem for years. During the trial, the Somalis tracked down a juror and dropped off a Hallmark bag on their doorstep, filled with 120 G's, and a little note saying there's more to come if she acquits. This all happened under Walz's nose. He had every chance to stop it and failed. Just like he failed to protect his city during the riots, and just like he failed his unit when he retired before deployment. This is the guy Kamala Harris chose as her number 2.
It's still amazing to me. I mean, that story about the bag of cash was a big story. My brother lives down there, and he was kind of telling me a little bit about it. And some other people I knew from Minnesota, like that was a huge, huge story. And Minnesota itself, it's such an enigma because I know so many people from there. I've been there so many times. It's absolutely a beautiful state. It's beautiful. The trees, the lakes, great hunting, good people in the rural areas. And then you get to like the big cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, St. Cloud, and some of these other ones, Duluth. They're just cesspools. And that's so unfortunate, but they have mismanaged the budget there so badly. And then all this corruption and everything, it's just disgusting. And I know the people there, like they did not vote for this. The election fraud in Minnesota is just as bad, if not worse, as it is anywhere else in the country. Anywhere else, it's insane. And once it gets fixed, that state, I mean, once it gets fixed everywhere, it's conservative policies are going to reign supreme for a long time. but I really, really do think that Minnesota is one of those places, like their policies are not that different from North Dakota. They are not Democrat, yet the election fraud apparatus will take any well-meaning good state and turn it inside out. Scheisler, I used to go to Minnesota all the time. It was beautiful years ago. And that's the thing, like if you stay away from the big cities, it still is beautiful. It really is. But and even back in the day, the downtown area, Minneapolis, St. Paul, it never used to be like it is now. It used to be fun. You used to be able to feel safe, just like walking around downtown Minneapolis, going to the Metrodome or the Vikings games or whatever. Like that used to be okay. It's not like that anymore. The Mall of America used to be okay to go to. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel clean to go to anymore. But it doesn't have to be that way. Trump has made a point, as he has been all over the place, that it does not have to be that way. And he made that point again this weekend. He had back-to-back posts. The first one was this one. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone in just a matter of weeks. Thank you, President Trump. Who's next? And then talks about Chicago again. 6 people were murdered in Chicago this weekend. 12 others were shot in serious condition. This would mean that over the past number of weeks, approximately 50 people were killed and hundreds were shot, many expected to die. Governor Pritzker just stated that he doesn't want any federal help. Why? What is wrong with this guy and the 5% in polls mayor? I want to help the people of Chicago, not hurt them. Only the criminals will be hurt. We can move fast and stop this madness. The city and state have not been able to do the job. People of Illinois should band together and demand protection. It is only going to get worse. Act now before it's too late. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. And he's right. It literally does not have to be this way. And at this point, like with what he's done in Washington, D.C., it really makes you wonder why the governors of these states and mayors of these cities don't just lean into it and work with Trump on this thing. Just this one thing. You can still oppose him in election fraud stuff. And like, I'm just thinking from a logical standpoint, it doesn't make sense at this point because Trump has already proven it. Mayor Bowser, like if anything, working with Trump would help her case for a future reelection, even though she shouldn't win because of election. I mean, there's so many other issues she's wrong on, but do you get what I'm saying? Like just on behalf of your citizens, even pretending to care whether or not they live or die is probably a thing that any sane, normal person would do. But these people have such a high level of Trump derangement syndrome that they won't even budge. They won't even work with him on one thing. They have to work against Trump on every line item. And it's idiotic. And it's long term, it's this type of behavior that's going to wake up more people in these deep blue states and cities. Like it's such an easy red pill for Trump. Showing the success in some states, or the one place, I guess, where it's done, and then watching these liberals fight it everywhere else. Mayor of Charlotte's response is to call for compassion for the murderer. It's called TDS. Yes, it is. Tamarack Garden. Good to see you, Tamarack Garden. Absolutely love Tamarack Garden's products. Their mosquito bite thing is incredible. TamarackGarden.com. Promo code Badlands. Gotta get it. You have to have that on hand. And plus they have a mosquito spray that's really good. I know they weren't sponsored today's show, but I saw them in the chat and I gotta give them a shout out. Bay Theater Dave, ironically here in South Cali, things aren't that bad. The areas and times you shouldn't visit are the same as usual, still very isolated. Well, wasn't there some National Guard presence there and some deportation stuff? It's probably been there on a higher level than it has been in other places, which speaking of that, I think there is a Supreme Court ruling that came out having to do with the sweeping ICE raids in Los Angeles. There's a post that was put out, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but there's a post put out by the Supreme Court this morning. Supreme Court of the United States, Kristi Noem, Secretary, Department of Homeland Security, et al. Versus Pedro Vasquez Perdomo. The application for stay presented to Justice Kagan and by her referred to the court is granted. The July 11th, 2025 order entered by the United States District Court for the Central District of California is stayed pending the disposition of the appeal in the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit and disposition of a petition for a writ of certiorari. I hate that word. I can never say it. Certiorari? Sorry, I'm retarded. If such a writ is timely sought, should that be denied, this stay shall terminate automatically. In the event it's granted, the stay shall terminate upon the sending down of the judgment of this court. Justice Kavanaugh concurring in the grant. I vote to grant the government's application for interim stay pending appeal of the district court's injunction. The Immigration and Nationality Act authorizes immigration officers to interrogate any alien or person believed to be an alien as to his right to be or to remain in the United States. Immigration officers may briefly detain an individual for questioning if they have a reasonable suspicion based on specific articulable facts. The person being questioned is an alien illegally in the United States. I tried to get the full ruling. I could only find it on Cornell's website. I was trying to see. The government estimates that nearly 15 million people are in the United States illegally. Illegal immigration is especially pronounced in the Los Angeles area, among other locales. So basically, the Supreme Court is staying the order that the National Guard can't go into Los Angeles upon further reviews of the appeals court and whatnot. This is good stuff. Ash 1776, that murder video on the train effed me up, and he was released 14 times. Accessory to murder. Yeah, that was, I'm not even going to play it, I don't think. Those who want to see it, you can check it out. But I did see the clip right up to like the point where he almost like he stabbed her like 4 times or something, we're told. And then afterwards, where the blood's like dripping all over the knife, and he like covers it up with the sweat. The whole thing is crazy. But yeah, I agree with that. Like, why are these people able to walk down the street, been out there 14 times, and then they go do something like that? It's insane. Cat Q Patriot says almost every single state is beautiful as long as you stay out of the big cities. Rigged elections have ruined most big cities. Ramon 222. National Guard can go anywhere if the Insurrection Act is involved. Maybe. Possibly. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, this from Anna Polina Luna. Trump posted a video here.
95% of Americans support this. I sometimes feel like an adjudicator in this job, so I guess I'll be the one to say that we've asked nicely for leadership to put this on the floor. If they don't, I'm saying timeline is end of month. There's a discharge petition prepared and ready to go. I think it's very clear where the White House stands on this. I don't speak for the White House, but the president has stated that he supports banning this because it is corrupt. Frankly, the fact that members are getting plus 600% returns on their investments is wrong. But more importantly, how could you ever be expected to represent your constituents when you're clearly worried about your pocketbook? And so that's why we're here today. Again, thank you to Representative Burchett because he helped work on that discharge. But we are very hopeful that this will be brought to the floor in regular order. And we look forward collectively to deliver this one to the American people.
Yeah, so I think this is good. I mean, obviously, I don't want any congressman trading stock, especially with how rampant the insider trading shit is. Like, it's insane. The procedure rule here, the discharge position, it's a way for these people to get the stuff to the floor. Like, if they have a majority of members who want to vote on something, but the leadership is not getting out of committee, they can get it to the floor that way. They use this on a few things. They were trying to do it with the Epstein thing, and I don't think they were able to pull it off. But it's a commonly used, maybe commonly is a strong word, but it's used now and then to get stuff through. A lot of the times, it's used for more. I don't know what the best way to describe it is. Like grifting type things. Like the Epstein one, to me, the way they were doing that, it's all a grift. Thomas Massie never cared about the Epstein stuff. This, I think, is really good, though, because this is something that the people actually want. I just don't want us to fall into the trap of thinking that Congress is actually working for us by voting on something, whether it gets passed or not, that these people, it never should have been allowed in the first place. Like, I feel like they try to placate us sometimes by doing the minimum stuff possible to make it look like they're actually working for us when 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, they're not actually doing the things that the American people truly do need. A lot of the stuff is being pushed by Trump. Una Penuna Banca, yes. Oh, it's crazy. Let's keep rolling here. This was an interesting one too. Trump, and this will be the last True Social post, and I got a bunch of headlines for you. Following the immigration enforcement operation on the Hyundai battery plant in Georgia, I'm hereby calling on all foreign companies investing in the United States to please respect our nation's immigration laws. See, he said please, so they're definitely going to follow like this now. We just had never said please before. These people were like illegally coming into our country because we didn't ask them nicely. That's it. Sorry, I just thought it was funny. Your investments are welcome, and we encourage you to legally bring your very smart people with great technical talent to build world-class products, and we will make it quickly and legally possible for you to do so. I think he's talking about that H-1B visa right there. And whatever happened to the Trump card, guys? $5 million Trump card? I don't know if we've seen any news stories or discussion about it from Trump and his team in a while. Like in a while. Basically since the day they said that they were launching it and it was going live. I don't think we've seen a single thing, how much we've made or anything. And if I'm wrong, correct me, but I mean, I follow this stuff almost every day, especially Trump's side of things. He is one to talk about stuff like that often, and they haven't. So it's interesting. What we ask in return is that you hire and train American workers. Together, we will all work hard to make our nation not only productive, but closer in unity than ever before. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. It was sure a nice August without them. Congress is bullshit. Exactly. Placating us. Yes. Fix Baynet. Yes. Yeah, Congress was gone for a month and nobody barely noticed. Nobody. Ricky Irish says, John reported the golf score from the weekend. You know what? I don't even know what the golf score was from the weekend. How do I get to golf? Where's the score from the weekend, bro? Since everybody wants to know about golf scores.
I think we all thought you were
Didn't want that. Well, I don't know how to work ESPN's website, so sorry, I'm going to keep going. U.S. has put forward a ceasefire principles. Trump presses Hamas to accept the deal. So this is like, what, the third, fourth, fifth time that we've basically had this exact story of, okay, the United States is presenting some sort of proposal, and one of the sides agrees, the other side is going to F it up. The United States has presented new principles for a Gaza ceasefire that call for the immediate release of all hostages and the launch of negotiations for a comprehensive end to the war, according to CNN, citing 2 Israeli officials familiar with the discussions. Hamas confirmed Sunday it had received some ideas from the U.S. through mediators and said it welcomes any move that helps efforts to stop the aggression against our people. The group reiterated its readiness to negotiate the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for a binding Israeli commitment to end the war, withdraw its forces from Gaza, and allow a Palestinian-led administration of the territory. It insisted any deal must include an explicit public commitment from Israel, and that's something that Israel doesn't want to do. But we're told that they are kind of on board. One Israeli official said the U.S. principles require Hamas to release all 48 hostages on the first day of a ceasefire, with Israel freezing its assault on Gaza City. Negotiations for a permanent end to the war would begin immediately, and fighting would not resume while talks continued. The officials added that President Trump would guarantee the ceasefire holds as long as negotiations remain active. Everyone wants the hostages home. Everyone wants this war to end, Trump wrote on social media Sunday evening. The Israelis have accepted my terms. It is time for Hamas to accept as well. He called it his last warning. It's the final warning, guys. Trump posted while attending the U.S. Open in New York alongside son-in-law Jared Kushner and U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff, both involved in Mideast peace talks, shortly after reports of the principles aired on Israel's Channel 12. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said Israel is seriously considering President Trump's proposal, adding that Hamas appears set to continue its refusal. Oh, my score. I'm an idiot. We were on a team. So it was a kind of a gimmicky scramble tournament where like you buy a card thing at the beginning and each person gets a mulligan, each person gets like a ball throw, each person gets like if a ball is within 6 feet of the cup, you just count it. Well, like without taking a stroke. So like if let's say your tee shot lands on a par 3, your tee shot lands within 6 feet of the pin, you just count it, and it could be a hole in one. So we ended up we were 17 under, I think, was our final score, which was a good score. And no thanks to me. I made a few putts, had a couple shots, but for like 12 of the 18 holes, I could not put it together. I was struggling. I blame my lack of sleep. But TJ and Neil, the guys that we golfed with, the Badlanders we golfed with, were studs, carried us through. CanCon played pretty well. And I stand by it. I do believe the team behind us, who just so happened to be the two-time reigning champions at this tournament, I believe there may have been some fudging of the score numbers because of a couple of we witnessed what they were doing behind us. Like on a par 3, none of them made the green, and yet they get a birdie on it. Like, what? I mean, I guess you do have the ball thrown, all these other things. It's possible. But anyway, we took 4th place. It was a great time. Definitely going to go back next year if I can get there and it's not on a weekend at my kids. So my bad on that. Ash 1776 is the final warning. Come with the final countdown because there's a song for that. Love it. Yeah, we'll see what happens. When it comes to these peace deal things, we've been rugged on this so many times just in the last 7 months or whatever it's been, that I'm not even remotely anticipating any sort of deal actually holding anytime soon. I don't think we have any reason to believe now's the time for the peace. Although Trump did say that he's speaking with Putin soon. I think I have that story here somewhere. I just got to find it. There's a few stories here. I don't remember which one has to do with Putin. Dang it. Well, whatever. We'll get to it when we get to it. Let's keep going here. The Trump administration asked the Supreme Court to uphold its freeze on foreign aid. They have asked the Supreme Court for an emergency order to keep billions of dollars in foreign aid on hold, seeking to preserve President Trump's decision to block spending that Congress had already approved. At issue is nearly $5 billion in congressionally approved aid that President Trump announced last month he would not spend, invoking a rarely used budget maneuver not exercised by a president in roughly 50 years. On August 28th, Trump informed House Speaker Mike Johnson that he would withhold $4.9 billion, effectively cutting the budget without congressional approval. The administration relied on what is known as a pocket rescission. You guys in the chat are very familiar with what I'm talking about here. A tactic in which a president submits a request near the end of a budget year to cancel approved spending. Because the request arrives too late for Congress to act within the required 45-day window, the funds remain unspent. U.S. District Judge Amir Ali ruled last week that the move was likely illegal, writing that the law is explicit that it is congressional action, not the president's transmission of a special message, that triggers rescission of the earlier appropriations. A panel of the appellate judges declined to block this ruling. This is the ruling that could be massive if the Supreme Court says that this is allowed to go through. Trump could effectively pocket rescission everything in the budget that he doesn't like if it's allowed to go through. As long as Congress doesn't go through and approve it or whatever, or deny it, it's at the end of the congressional year, the fiscal year, it'll go through. This is a huge ruling. And something we've been kind of keying in on. Me and Chris have been talking about this on a Power Hour for a while, ever since the big, bloated, beautiful bill passed. Because parts of it were big and beautiful. Maybe parts of it were beautiful. A lot of it was big and bloated. And we took shit for saying that at the time. And here we have stuff starting to be rescinded. I think this is great. Wow, look at what Donald J. Trump posted on the jabs. Let's see. Ooh, he just posted this too. Let's check it out. Or did he just post that? Maybe when was this? 9/8. I don't see it.
Show him the thumb arrow so long. which we keep in a metal container because we're a little afraid of it, and it's a very fine powder.
This is thimerosal, which is labeled very toxic.
I don't see this post on social media, guys. Like, am I missing something? He's got a book out there. He's got this DC crime. Why are Democrats rooting against America? I don't see this specific post. So I have a tough time even sharing it. Oh, here it is. Oh, well, shit. There we go. Look at that.
And developmental, which is labeled very toxic, has cumulative effects, can cause damage to the kidneys, to the respiratory system, skin, to the nervous system. Specifically warns on here that it can cause reproductive and developmental toxicity, meaning that it can cause things like autism and other neurodevelopmental disorders. This is immensely toxic stuff. And this is what's in the vaccine. It's important to realize we're talking about a whole range of products. Vaccines are a big one because, of course, you're directly injecting it. For example, this is tetanus vaccine. This one expires. It's a little outdated now, in 2007. Here's the thimerosal. 1 to 10,000 is a preservative. Perhaps the biggest one in the U.S., at least, that's for exposure to mercury is the influenza vaccine. Influenza vaccine is now recommended for all pregnant women, all infants, all children on a yearly basis. You're supposed
You
to
had last year's influenza? Understand that thimerosal is not added at the end. It's not like, well, that factory next year can make thimerosal free. Thimerosal, you either have to have a thimerosal free factory or you have to not have one. They add thimerosal at each step because the factory is not clean and not sterile. So you either have to have an expensive sterile factory where you don't need thimerosal, or you have to have one that produces thimerosal. It's going to need thimerosal or something the whole time. It needs to be stopped.
This is a great video. I'm not going to play the rest of it because I just realized I have 17 minutes left. You can decode that one to get through the rest of the headlines, and I got quite a few, so I want to start buzzing through these. But this is great that Trump is posting stuff like this. TM Landry, free Tina Peters, 100% agree. She should not be in prison, and I do think we're going to see some movement on that at some point. Marjorie Taylor Greene presses DOJ and FBI to probe Georgia election system. We talked about this on Saturday a little bit, and CanCon has been all over this. I think he may have even had a little foreknowledge that this may have been coming. But Marjorie Taylor Greene has formally requested that the Department of Justice and FBI investigate Georgia's election system, citing unresolved complaints and failures by state officials stemming from the 2020 election. In a September 2nd letter to DOJ and FBI officials, Greene referenced a July 30th resolution passed by the Georgia State Election Board, urging the Secretary of State and Attorney General to seek federal assistance in addressing alleged violations tied to recent elections. The resolution specifically cited SEB Complaint 2023-025, which alleged serious error by the Fulton County Board of Elections during the 2020 election. Although a negotiated settlement was reached between the Secretary of State and Fulton County Board of Elections, the SEB determined the issue remains unresolved. In its ongoing inquiry, the SEB issued a subpoena demanding 2020 election records from the Fulton County BOE, but Greene noted the county has refused to comply. I want to see Ed Martin get involved in this. This is a good step to expose some election fraud, guys. Huge. The more the merrier when it comes to election fraud exposure. And if this is just the beginning, I am here for it. But as Chris says, some of this could just be a show. It could just be a distraction. It could be placation. We don't want to allow this stuff to placate us. We need to actually see movement in fixing our election fraud system and addressing 2020. Governor Hochul authorizes pharmacists to give COVID-19 vaccines in defiance of federal limits. New York Governor Kathy Hochul signed an executive order Friday allowing pharmacists across the state to administer COVID-19 shots to anyone who requests one. 30-day measure can be renewed until lawmakers reconvene in January to consider permanent legislation. Trump administration under Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy limited the FDA approval of the updated vaccine to people over 65 and those with underlying conditions. Pharmacies such as CVS said they will begin offering these shots statewide under Hochul's order. Several Democrat-led states are taking similar actions. California, Oregon, Washington, and Hawaii formed a West Coast Health Alliance to independently review vaccine data, while Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey directed insurers to cover vaccines cleared by her state's health department. This could be an interesting one because Robert F. Kennedy and the Trump administration, they're starting to expose and work against the COVID stuff and the vaccines. The Democrat blue states, they're like, no, we need to stick to the narrative that we've been pushing for years. We're going to keep plugging away. Screw you, government. Now, I do believe that states should be able to dictate how things are run versus the federal government. Like, I think they should have more authority, obviously. But this is one of those things. Like, think of the crime stuff, right? Trump wants to fix a problem, which is crime in these cities. And then you have leadership in those cities and states who is actively going against the Trump administration, working in the opposite direction just because of TDS or whatever. And that could be a potential red pill opportunity for a lot of people. The COVID one is arguably the biggest red pill opportunity over anything else, even the financial stuff. And I've been saying for years, since basically day one, that I think the financial one is one of the keys because everybody's got a bank account, everybody's got a checkbook. The financial stuff touches everybody. Well, COVID fits that description too. The COVID situation, what that was, what we were put through, the vaccines, all that stuff affects everybody. Everybody knows somebody. Everybody has a story related to COVID and how it affected them and their lives in some sort of negative way. And it may not have had to be that way. So when you see stuff like this from Democratic governors and cities and states working to keep this stuff going while Trump and his team are trying to expose it and get the truth out there, by the time this is all said and done, it's not going to be good for these Democrat governors and leaders. Let's keep rolling here. Appeals court upholds $83 million verdict against Trump for defaming E. Jean Carroll. Federal appeals court on Monday upheld $83.3 million jury award against President Donald Trump for defaming magazine writer E. Jean Carroll. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals said the jury award was reasonable given the evidence presented at trial. We hold that the district court did not err in any of these challenge rulings and that the jury's duly rendered damages awards were reasonable in light of the extraordinary and egregious facts of the case. The appeals panel of judges wrote. I bet this is going to go to the Supreme Court, guys. And I have a feeling Trump's probably going to come out on the right side of this, considering all the actions being alleged that Trump was speaking out against were false. Like, Trump's statements were false. E. Jean Carroll's were. Going to be an interesting one. Already did that story. Already did that. Treasury Secretary Besant warns of massive refunds if the Supreme Court voids Trump's tariffs. He said Sunday that he is confident that President Trump's tariff plan will win at the Supreme Court, but warned his agency would be forced to issue massive refunds if the high court rules against it. It's another major ruling we're looking towards. If the tariffs are struck down, he said, we would have to give a refund on about half the tariffs, which would be terrible for the Treasury. He added, however, if the court stays it or says it, we'd have to do it. The Trump administration last week asked the Supreme Court for an expedited ruling to overturn an appeals court decision that found most of his tariffs on imports from other countries are illegal. Generally, the Supreme Court could take as long as early next summer to issue a decision on the legality of Trump's tariffs. He said delaying a ruling until June 2026 could result in a scenario in which $750 billion to $1 trillion in tariffs have already been collected, and unwinding them could cause significant disruption. The prospect of the government having to refund tariffs of that magnitude could mean an unprecedented windfall to the businesses and entities that paid them. Yeah, I mean, of course, holy shit. Could you imagine? And could you imagine how that would look? Because the court ruling here is like, yeah, Trump can't do this, but Congress can. And so the court's like, yeah, well, you're going to have to pay back. And if Congress doesn't come back in and be like, okay, well, we'll keep these in place. It was our authority to do so in the first place. Trump should have done it, whatever. Maybe that is the right ruling. Maybe Congress should have the constitutional authority and they're the ones that are supposed to be doing this. But having to unwind $1 trillion just because Congress won't do the tariffs that Trump had put in place, that's asinine. And that's not going to go over well for Congress. Not that it matters if we don't fix our election system. But anyway, Comer vows accountability. Trump rips scandal after bombshell report on Biden auto pen pardons. Chairman James Comer said the House Oversight Committee's auto pen probe is in its final stages. I'm curious to see where it gets with that. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I am looking forward to this report coming out and getting to the bottom of it. I hope they detail out every instance and use of Biden's auto pen, and I'm curious how they affect some of the executive orders that we've keyed in on over the years. So we'll see what comes of it. Just the News has a story out here. FBI is probing whether its own agents obstructed or interfered with politically sensitive cases. Yeah, obviously they did. That's like what they've been showing us for the past forever, like 10 years. Very obvious. But again, these are the stories like when you have the down weeks of disclosure. What I mean by that is we haven't had like any major declassifications or bombshell breaking news. They got to keep the story, they got to keep the pulse going. And that's when we get stuff like this, like an overview of exactly what we're showing, maybe worded a different way. Material evidence discovered in the previously secret prohibited access case files raises concerns about FBI agents' abuse of authority or obstruction of investigations. Those stalled, thwarted, or corrupted probes involved several potential targets ranging from Hillary Clinton to Hunter Biden to President Trump. It's almost an overview of the Rico Grande situation. Ramon 222, has Comer ever done anything of substance? It's a good question. That is a great question. I would not be the one to answer that because I don't think. I mean, he's had some good investigations and like committee stuff come out. Like some of his stuff during the Biden administration, digging into Biden. We've had some good declassifications from that. Some of his whistleblower stuff from the IRS around the Biden laptop in that situation, some of that was pretty good. So I wouldn't say no to that question. Scheisler, Maggie, yes, we have supposedly sold our house. The inspection is today, so hopefully everything just goes well and very smoothly. Prayers to you, Scheisler. I am wishing you the best of luck in that sale of your house, and so you guys can get down to Texas and be with your grandkids. Keep us posted on how that goes, by the way. Here's a story that probably totally is real. Like this definitely happened. Headline, and I quote, "I'm gonna punch you in your effing face." Scott Bessent threatens an administration rival. The Treasury Secretary's quiet tensions with Housing Finance Chief Bill Pulte exploded at a private dinner last week. Wasn't this like the same story they ran with Bessent and Musk? Didn't they also get into some like fist fight in the hallway? They were like rubbing elbows and elbowing each other, and then all of a sudden there was a punch thrown or something stupid. I don't buy this. Oh man, did I not even? Oh, I did archive it. I'll just read a couple paragraphs. You got a private dinner event attended by dozens of administration officials and close advisors to President Donald Trump. It was temporarily marred by a dramatic clash between two of Trump's top economic officials, with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent at one point threatening to punch top housing finance official Bill Pulte in the effing face. They even said fucking. That's hilarious. The Wednesday evening event was supposed to be one of celebration. It was both the much-anticipated inaugural dinner at Executive Branch, the ultra-exclusive Georgetown club created by and for Trump's world's Unbarrich, and a birthday party for mega-friendly podcaster Chamath Palihapitiya, whatever. A long table for 30-some guests was set up, blah, blah. But amid the cocktail hour din, Bessent lashed out at Pulte in an expletive-laden diatribe. The Treasury Secretary had heard from several people that the Federal Housing Finance Agency director had been bad-mouthing him to Trump. A person close to him said he wasn't about to engage in chit-chat as if nothing was amiss. "Why the F are you talking about the president or to the president about me? F you," Bessent told Pulte. "I'm going to punch you in your effing face." This is hilarious. The scene was described to me by one eyewitness and 4 other people familiar with what happened. The only fact they disagreed on was whether it was Bessent or Pulte who initiated the conversation. They and others who described the conflict were granted anonymity due to the sensitivity of the situation. Hence, it was made up. It didn't happen. Pulte appeared stunned, and the tense encounter prompted club co-owner and financier Omid Malik to intervene, according to 3 people, but Bessent wasn't having it. He sought to get him kicked out. "It's either me or him," Bessent said. "You tell me he was getting the F out of here. Or we could go outside." "To do what?" asked Pulte. "To talk?" "No, I'm going to F and beat your ass." Like, what are these regs even doing? Writing a story like this is so clearly, obviously not true. Maybe there's a version of it that is like borderline true. It's insane. Hilarious though. Accused Trump assassin to defend himself as trial begins this week. Ryan Ruth begins his defense Monday in a Florida federal courtroom. So we'll stay tuned, waiting to see what we get from that. And then I think that might be the last story I have. So I do have a Don Lemon clip. I'm going to play this and then I'll get to the rants here. Don Lemon, by the way, was in New York City talking to residents. It didn't go so well with this one gentleman.
How you doing, sir? Can we talk to you? Where are you from? You live in New York?
Who are you?
Don Lemon.
You're a fucking moron, dude.
Thank you. So are you.
Yeah, oh, that's very nice of you to
Yeah,
say.
nice to
except,
see you.
except you've never heard anything I've had to say, and I've heard a
Who are
whole
you?
bunch of what you.
I'm glad you watched me.
No, I don't.
Why?
But you just get clipped everywhere.
I know, but why don't you? You said you don't watch me, but yet you know who I am, and I get clipped.
Before I realized that CNN and MSNBC were full of shit, every once in a while I'd
What
see
do you watch?
talking. I watch all sorts of stuff.
Badlands
Yeah,
Media.
but why do you say CNN and MSNBC are full of shit?
Because they lie.
But about what? Be
Everything.
specific. What's everything?
Everything.
How you doing?
Amazing. I love it when these people get called out to their face. With that, I got a rant here from Heartstop. Good to see you, Heartstop, and looking forward to seeing you in Cocoa Beach. Because I do believe you're going to be there. If you haven't, guys, get to one of our conferences or meetups. They are amazing, life-changing. I'm not saying that like it's no exaggeration. These events are incredible. Heartstop says, thanks for all that you do. Thank you. Do me a favor, guys. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. I'll be back on tonight with Basis Conspiracies. I believe we're going to have our guest on again, try to put forth a better timeline of the conspiracy we were covering last week. And then I'll be back again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on the Daily Herald. Stay tuned for the timeline regarding our Thursday 9/11, coverage and watching the codex and the commentary and stuff. And then also, I'm going to send you guys over to Y-Chromes if they're live. I don't know if they're live or not right now. It appears they are. So I'm going to send you over there here right after this is done. So thank you, everybody. Hit the thumbs up. Get your soft disclosure if you want some of the best skincare products around and support Badlands Media in the process. Softdisclosure.com. You guys have a great rest of your Monday.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
2, 3. Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why stop to me? Stop to me.